A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to Survival of No Limits. And well, here we are, last day for this exact location. I tell you, the past 14 days of having to have episodes like these are certainly some to be desired. But it is certainly unbelievably, well, just amazing to have such backgrounds like these to work with. But expect a new one to come up in a couple more days. But until then, I've got one last subject here that I'm going to highlight for this part in the series. Episode number 83, which is going to be about zookeeping. Yeah. Some people might be wondering, and some people might be asking the obligatory question that happens to associate with pretty much every Survival of No Limits episode that I have on the channel. What does this have to do with survival? Well, it's simple really. The main reason why zookeeping happens to have a lot to do with survivability actually is pretty much because it's a very dangerous thing that takes place. Yet it still does happen worldwide. There's been tons of places throughout the world that many of us are very familiar with. And many of them do involve zoos that have a bunch of paddocks and enclosures that happen to house some of nature's finest creatures that have lived throughout our own ecosystem in the modern era. From anything at all, like lions, tigers, bears, oh my, to things like crocodiles and foxes and bats and bears and elephants, gazelles, to anything at all. But at this point, it doesn't really matter if it is in fact just a gazelle, or if it is in fact a giant, big, scary liger. Because they can all be very dangerous. Which is why zookeeping is generally overlooked by many of the sheer possibilities that someone could potentially die off from being dragged in by a giant tiger's paws to perhaps something more dangerous, like drowning inside of a seal's, well, aquarium, pretty much. Or maybe from any other things that would take place. And this is generally why some people might generally be afraid of zookeeping, because, well, lots of people out there seem to be better at zoology than others. I myself have actually done a lot in terms of researching different animal species and different behavior complexes and traits that are involved in different predators and prey across our entire animal kingdom. And being that there are millions of animal species out there, you would not necessarily expect a lot of things to go wrong. But you'd be wrong. Unfortunately, there are tons of problems that could generally come up with zookeeping, other than the ones I've mentioned. So, this is pretty much why some people might not like this kind of idea for a job. But I have seen a lot of people take up onto it. Whether they're brave or they're stupid enough to take on the animals themselves, or possibly have their own talent to show to the world, whether it be talking to animals, well, Dr. Dolittle style, or pretty much something else in mind, well, it's still likely that something could go wrong. But nonetheless, if you are in fact just a visitor at a zoo, consider keeping a safe distance and be sure not to tap on the glass. Because you never know, the animal could be more hostile than you could possibly ever imagine. So, well, here we are. This is it, and it's time to move on to a new location. But if you want to see more, go down to my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.